All right, guys, I need some help here. Now, I did my own investigative work. I went to Royce Alger, who knows everything about everything in the world of wrestling. Royce brought in Randy Lewis, who knows everything about everything to deal with the Smith family specifically, but also about wrestling. I went to Chuck Kearney, who used to be roommates with John Smith and is still his friend to this day. I went to Kenny Monday. I mean, I'm name dropping on you, but I'm bringing you some stuff. I went to Dan Chade, and ultimately I went to the queen herself, Nancy Schultz. Here's the question, allegedly. Antonio McKee, I am not talking junior. I'm talking about senior. I'm talking about the coach of the current champion. Antonio McKee was one hell of an athlete who put that athleticism into wrestling. But once he got to the next level beyond high school, I'm talking about college, and then where he's going to go from there, World Olympic aspirations, he didn't have the grades to back up his athleticism. Just a true story. So he wrestled in something called the junior college. Very common and the highest level you can do when your grades and your skills don't quite come together. He was a problem. He was that guy that didn't belong there. He was much better. He was the guy that everybody else at those tournaments were going to stop to watch because he was special. He did not belong there. Loved wrestling, had the athleticism, had the work, had the skill, had the knowledge, didn't have the grades. It's just where he was at that time in his life, just the way to say it. John Smith, the most decorated wrestler of all time, the current, by Flow Wrestling, as recently as 60 days ago, #1 wrestler to ever exist from the United States of America, Fat John Smith, looking for a match. He's traveling around with USAW, governing body, coming out to California. Somebody from USAW says, we want to put the champ on display. Smith was a world and Olympic champion. This match took place in 1989. So Smith was a 2-time world, 1-time Olympic champion, okay? He stopped his career right there and still might go down as the greatest to have ever done it. He just didn't happen to do it. But the point says, USA Wrestling says we want to put him on display, find somebody for him to wrestle. Get him someone that can wrestle out in that area, a little hotbed area. Wouldn't matter if the guy was the next best thing on earth or just the best guy in this town. He's going to get technical fall by John Smith, but just bring him out there. Bring him out so Smith can put some of these techniques on display. We can garner a little bit of attention. Fine. They do. They call up this junior college kid. They call up Antonio McKee. That's it. Hey, McKee, do you want the match? Here's the date. Yes. What's the weight class? 147 pounds. I'll be there. Now, Smith, when he did his finest work, as a matter of fact, when he did all of his international work, did it 136.5 pounds. 136.5 versus an exhibition match at 147. That's the same thing. That's the same guy, same size. That's the same thing. McKee's got to make 147. All right. McKee, knucklehead, goes ahead and gets put in jail the day before the match. So he gets out of jail in time to run to the arena for a match that he's going to get dusted anyway. He shows up, he shakes hands with John Smith, and he beat him. He beat him 11-8, or he beat him 10-8. I have had 2 varying stories, including from McKee. He could not remember the score either. Now, cameras were different back then. Everybody's got a camera. I got the one I'm looking at, the one that I brought on my cell phone, and Ethan and Emma both have them on their iPhone. Right now, within this room, I got 4 cameras. You guys can relate to that because you're holding one too. But the world wasn't like that in the late 80s. It was very tough to get that kind of equipment. It's very tough to document something with as low of a budget of a wrestling event. And the point that I'm making, there's no footage of this. McKee says he beat John Smith. The man with the more integrity than any other man that I know, who is named Big John McCarthy, watched it happen and verified it, and also verified that the score was either 11-8 or 10-8. Also could not remember. What the hell's going on here? Okay, match gets done. John Smith's father, who was very influential, as I'm sure you could imagine, demanded that McKee get on the scale. The match was done. He demands that he gets on the scale. Now, McKee's got to make 147. That was agreed on. He claimed that he did. He claimed that he waited. His coach signed off on that. They went and had the match. After the match was done, representatives from, I'm telling you the story, guys. I don't know if this, telling you the story, the way the story goes, representatives from USA Wrestling. And I believe this was on Myron Roderick's watch, by the way. That's what I believe. Representatives of USA Wrestling, John Smith's father, demanded that McKee prove what he weighed. McKee stripped down, got on the scale, and he was like 1.5 pounds under. Maybe because of the match, but he lost. They put it on 147. He was under 147. He got off the scale. They never worked the whole thing out. Then McKee gets off the scale and says to John Smith, now you get on the scale. And John Smith's father and USA Wrestling stopped him and did not allow him to weigh in. And Smith's father, this is allegedly, Smith's father demanded of USA Wrestling in that moment that they erase the match, that it never happened. That match did not happen. This boy did not make weight. And they did. That's the story. And when I went to Royce Alger, who brought in Randy Lewis, when I went to Chuck Kearney, who's a master of remembering stuff and used to live with John Smith, when I went to Kenny Monday, who was teammates with and coached, when I went to the queen herself, Nancy Schultz, they all said the same thing. Chael, if that would have happened, I would have heard about it. So I'm asking you guys, did it happen? I've never known Antonio McKee to exaggerate, let alone, I didn't even want to use the word lie. I don't even want to use the word. But this is an incredibly, remarkably large story. It would qualify as a lie. And I know Big John McCarthy believes it happens, or it wanted to come out of Big John's mouth, and he witnessed this. And John could even qualify the story. He said, Chael, we put it on. John was with the Police Athletic League. And whether they put it on or they entered a team, I think that might be what it was. John wrestled in the event at heavyweight himself. So there's 2 witnesses that said it happened. All the people that I went to that would know about wrestling and love about it and care about it like me do not claim that they were even in the building to see if the match happened. To know anything about the weight discrepancy, to know how USA Wrestling wiped it, to know how nobody heard about this, nobody got a hold of it. But when a day where social media didn't exist, there was a day, I live in West Lynn, Oregon City's right next to me. You could rob a bank in Oregon City and come hide out in West Lynn for the rest of your life, right? I mean, it used to be a very different world where sharing secrets and information didn't get around. Vince McMahon in the world of professional wrestling kept their lights on by doing that. They would play this town, drive 40 minutes up the road and do the exact same event that they did here over here because they wouldn't know. And when I tell you that you could keep a secret, you really could. This was never meant to be a secret, but it was one of those times. If John Smith lost to McKee, I don't give a damn what happened. I don't care about the scale. If you know that story, please share it with me. Here's what I'm asking you. Real simple. Did that match happen and who won?